You walk into a room and everyone's talking. But the moment you open your mouth, something shifts. People actually lean in. They stop scrolling. They listen. Not because you're the loudest or the most polished, but because there's something real about you. Something authentic. What if I told you that the most confident people you know aren't faking anything? They're not wearing a mask or following a script. They've just figured out something most of us missed. Authentic presence isn't about being perfect. It's about being genuinely you. I'm Tony, and I've spent years watching people struggle with this. Smart, capable people who freeze up in meetings, who rehearse conversations in their heads, who smile and nod while their real thoughts stay locked away. Maybe that's you right now. Here's what I've learned. Confidence isn't something you put on like a suit. It's something you uncover. And today, I want to show you how to find that authentic presence that's been waiting inside you all along. Picture this. You're in a meeting. Your colleague just pitched an idea that you know has holes in it, but instead of speaking up, you stay quiet. Later, someone else voices your exact concern and gets credit for the insight. Sound familiar? That's not a lack of intelligence, that's a lack of communication confidence. The truth is, most of us were never taught how to be genuinely confident. We learn to copy what confident people do from the outside. But here's what research shows us. When you fake confidence, your body knows. Your stress hormones spike, your voice gets tight. People can sense something's off, even if they can't name it. But authentic presence, that's different. It's your nervous system at rest. It's your voice finding its natural rhythm. It's eye contact that feels curious instead of forced. Let me share something that changed everything for me. I was at a networking event, one of those rooms where everyone's performing confidence. I watched this woman across the room. She wasn't the most animated person there. She wasn't telling jokes or commanding attention. But every conversation she joined seemed to get deeper, more connected. I finally worked up the courage to talk to her. And you know what she did? She asked me a question about something I'd mentioned in passing. Not a generic, "How are you?" but a real question that showed she'd actually been listening. For the first time that night, I felt seen. That's when it hit me. Authentic presence isn't about being impressive. It's about being interested. It's about showing up as yourself and inviting others to do the same. The science backs this up. When researchers study charismatic leaders, they find something surprising. The most influential people aren't the most extroverted. They're the ones who create what psychologists call psychological safety. They make others feel heard, valued, and understood. So how do you build this kind of authentic presence? It starts with 3 core practices that I want to walk you through. Your authentic presence lives in the space between stimulus and response. When someone asks you a question, there's a moment, maybe just a breath, where you can choose. Do I say what I think they want to hear, or do I trust that my real thoughts matter? Most of us rush to fill that space. We're so afraid of silence that we say the first thing that comes to mind. But here's what I've learned. That pause isn't empty. It's where your authenticity lives. I remember coaching a software engineer named Marcus. Brilliant guy, but he'd mumble through presentations like he was apologizing for taking up space. We spent one session just practicing pauses. Not dramatic silences, just allowing 3 seconds between hearing a question and responding. The change was remarkable. When Marcus stopped rushing to speak, his voice dropped to its natural register. His words became more intentional. His presence shifted from nervous to thoughtful. Try this. In your next conversation, when someone asks you something, take a breath before you answer. Feel your feet on the ground. Let your real response emerge instead of your reflex response. Your body is always broadcasting. The question is, what's it saying? When you're trying to project confidence, your shoulders might be up around your ears. Your gestures might be sharp and controlled. Your smile might be pleasant but disconnected from your eyes. But authentic presence has a different signature. Your shoulders are relaxed. Your breathing is natural. Your eye contact is curious, not challenging. You're not trying to look confident, you're simply present. Here's something most people don't know. The fastest way to feel more confident is to check in with your body. Research shows that just 2 minutes of what psychologists call presence practice, standing or sitting with your spine straight, shoulders relaxed, breathing deeply, can lower your stress hormones by 25%. I learned this from a speech coach who told me something unforgettable. Your body doesn't lie. If you're holding tension, everyone can feel it. But if you're genuinely at ease, that's contagious too. She was right. When you're truly present in your body, others relax around you. They feel permission to be themselves because you're not performing, you're just being. Here's what I want you to try. Before your next important conversation, spend 60 seconds with your body. Feel your feet on the ground. Roll your shoulders back and let them drop. Take 3 deep breaths. Not to pump yourself up, but to come home to yourself. This might be the most important thing I share with you today. Authentic presence isn't about having all the answers. It's about creating space for real conversation to happen. I used to think good communicators were the ones who always knew what to say. But the most magnetic people I know do something different. They ask questions that matter. They listen like your words are treasures. They make you feel like the most interesting person in the room. There's a technique I call listening with your whole body. It's not just hearing words, it's picking up on the emotion behind them. The pause before someone answers. The way their energy shifts when they talk about something they care about. I watched a CEO do this once. During a team meeting, someone mentioned they'd been struggling with work-life balance. Instead of offering quick advice, she leaned forward slightly and asked, "What does that struggle feel like for you?" The room changed. What could have been surface-level chatter became a real conversation about boundaries and support. When you listen like this, something beautiful happens. People start sharing their real thoughts instead of their safe thoughts. They feel heard instead of hurried. And suddenly, you're not just someone who talks, you're someone who creates connection. The practice is simple. In your next conversation, listen for the feeling behind the words. If someone says they're fine, notice their tone. If they mention being busy, hear whether it's satisfied busy or overwhelmed busy. Then respond to what you sense, not just what you hear. Here's what I've learned after years of studying communication. The most confident people aren't those who never feel nervous. They're the ones who've learned to be nervous and authentic at the same time. I think about my friend Sarah, who gave a presentation to her company's board last month. She was terrified. But instead of trying to hide it, she started with, "I'm excited to share this with you, and I'll be honest, I'm a little nervous because this project means a lot to me." That simple statement of truth did something magical. It made her human. It made her relatable, and it allowed her natural expertise to shine through instead of being buried under a performance of confidence. This is what authentic presence looks like. It's not the absence of fear. It's the willingness to be real with your fear. To let your nervousness exist alongside your competence. To trust that your humanity is part of your strength, not a weakness to hide. Think about the people who've had the biggest impact on your life. I'll bet they weren't the ones who seemed to have it all figured out. They were the ones who were willing to be real with you, who shared their struggles alongside their strengths, who made you feel less alone in your own humanity. That's the kind of presence you can offer the world. Not perfect, not flawless, just real. And in a world full of performances, authenticity is revolutionary. The beautiful thing about authentic presence is that it gets stronger with practice. Every time you choose to be real instead of right, you're building your confidence muscle. Every time you listen with genuine curiosity instead of waiting for your turn to speak, you're deepening your ability to connect. Here's what I want you to remember. You already have everything you need to be genuinely confident. You don't need to become someone else. You don't need to learn to be charming or charismatic or any of those performance-based qualities. You just need to come home to yourself, to trust that your thoughts matter, to believe that your presence is a gift, not an intrusion, to know that showing up as yourself is not just enough, it's everything. Start small. In your next conversation, try one thing we've talked about. Maybe it's taking that breath before you respond. Maybe it's really listening to someone's answer instead of planning your next question. Maybe it's simply standing a little taller and letting your shoulders drop. Your authentic presence is already here. It's been waiting for permission to emerge. Today, I'm asking you to give it that permission. What's one way you're going to practice authentic presence this week? Leave me a comment and let me know. Your story might be exactly what someone else needs to hear. I'm Tony, and I believe your voice matters. Not the voice you think you should have, but the one that's uniquely yours. The world needs what you have to offer, not polished, not perfect, just real. Take care of yourself. And remember, you're not behind. You're not broken. You're just becoming more yourself. And that's the most beautiful kind of confidence there is.